stories to tell tonight. I'm going to tell two little stories of my own, 2 true stories that happened to me. And I call one How to Do Magic, and the other one How Not to Do Magic. This is when I was still learning what living life as a pagan was about. There was a time when I got it really right, and there was a time when I got it a bit wrong. So the time when I got it right was in the Chalice Well on a summer solstice day between the 2 great guardian yew trees. And like I'd said before, some of my fondest friends in this world are trees, and especially those 2 great old stately guardians. And I've got this feeling off them because I'm quite sensitive to things that have been done in a particular place. Someone has been using these trees, they've been drawing off the power of these trees to, create some sort of self-empowerment spell or some sort of really, self-centered energy. And it had really left the trees feeling burdened and sickly, and I decided to do something about it. So I stood in the middle of these trees, and I started to pray. I was sort of in quite a strange place in my spiritual journey at this point, so I wasn't sure who I was praying to, but I decided to pray anyway to whoever was listening. And as soon as I started to try and bring some sort of blessing and healing to these trees, I felt this tremendous weight coming down on my head against me. And as if somebody wanted to shut me up, as if somebody didn't want this pushed out the way that I was trying to push out the way, and it felt like a rock concert in my head. It was that sort of volume. And I closed my eyes, and I thought, I'm going to open my eyes and I'm going to take in a little bit of light, because closing my eyes against the effort of this is making me see nothing but darkness, and that's not helping. So I'll open my eyes and I'll look up at the sun. I'll soak up some of the rays, and that will help. And I opened my eyes, and there was this lady standing there I'd never seen before, and I never saw again. And she wasn't beautiful in the way that I would have been attracted to her and tried to chat her up if I'd seen her in a pub, but something in her eyes had a beauty in it. And she handed me this stone, this little pebble about yay big, and it had a rune painted on it. And she didn't say anything, she just handed me this rune, she smiled, and I really got the idea clear in my head from her smile that she knew what I was up to. So I held this rune in my hand, and I thought, right, instead of trying to pull up some sort of power from within myself and do it, because that's obviously not working, I'll just be the person whose hand is holding this rune, which is where the power is really going to come from. So I sort of held this rune in my hand, and I thought, I'll just be the hand that is wielding this rune. That's going to be the thing that really does what needs to be done. And instantly, the clouds in my head cleared, and instantly the weight on my shoulders lifted. And instantly I looked to the left and the right to these trees, and I felt like they had really got some good out of what I was doing finally, and had really felt the clouds clear from their spirits and the weights lift off their shoulders. And I thought, actually, with a little bit of help from somebody, managed to do some good. So I looked back to where to this lady to say, here's your runestone back, thank you very much. She's gone. I look around the crowds, she's gone. So I think, thank you for coming to help me, whoever you may have been, or whoever's messenger you were. We just send out a bit of gratitude. And afterwards, I crawled off to lick me wounds and get me energy back in the white spring, and just felt the sound of the waters just swirling around me, felt like a blanket keeping me warm. And the little candle that's in one of the shrines in the corner of the white spring just felt like a great hearth fire that was bringing the warmth back to my bones. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is how to do magic. There was another time where I thought, in my idiotic, naive state in which I was dabbling with the pagan idea that Dion Fortune's resting place would be a wonderful place to try and work this spell that I got out of a book. So I got all together the things that I needed to do, and I found the grave after a bit of searching. And it was cloudy day, and a little bit of light broke through a hole in the clouds. And I thought, well, that's a good time to do it, obviously, when that little bit of sunlight is shining through. So I stood as best as I could underneath this beam of sunlight, and I laid out everything on the floor that the book said I needed to do the spell. Next to the grave of that lovely lady, Dion Fortune. And all of a sudden, the most tremendous downpour came out of nowhere and just soaked me to the skin in seconds. So I gathered up all my bits and grabbed, more than a cloth, put the cloth in the back, ran for it under the shade of this big old beech tree. And I sort of, and it was big and grand and bushy enough, this tree, to shelter me from the rain. After a few minutes, it stopped, and I thought, okay, passing shower has done its passing. Back out, back down by the grave, lay out all the stuff again. within 30 seconds, I thought, bloody stuff in the back under the tree. Back under the tree. 3 times in rapid succession, this exact same sequence of events repeated themselves. Now, I've been working with...
You think you'll take the hit by now?
Yeah, I think I'm a stubborn old git, but you would have thought someone who's worked with disabled patients and dementia patients as long as I have should know by now not to disturb an old lady when she's trying to sleep. And that is how not to do magic.
Done?